Hello, welcome back to DIY Willie. Yes, we are underneath a truck. You can probably hear a little bit of an echo. I hear an echo off the muffler. Everything's kind of hot. We were just driving it, so I got to be careful with what I handle down here. But we have some work to do today on the 2012 NISSAN Frontier, the one that we've done some work on previously, the exhaust and tie rod ends and other things. It's a nice truck. It's got a pretty tall lift on it. And yeah, because of that, the lift and the tire size and the miles on the truck, really, the carrier bearing has broken. The support for the bearing is broken, and the drive shaft shakes now under acceleration. But once you get at a constant speed, it smooths out. But really, the vibration is kind of annoying. And there's two things that cause that. One is obviously the lift on the truck, putting the angle on the drive shaft. The pinion angle can be a problem when you put lifts on vehicles. And just the wear and tear on the carrier bearing. And that's it right there. So you can see it's got a lot of movement in it. And the cracks and the damage to it right there. You can see all the cracks and the damage to the carrier bearing support. So there's nothing in there to hold it anymore, and it likes to vibrate. So today we're gonna go ahead and get this drive shaft out of the vehicle and change that carrier bearing. Alright, so taking a look at this, I've gotten the two 14mm nuts on the carrier bearing taken off. Those are long-winded threads, man. It took a long time. I brought out my pneumatic ratchet to get those off. I didn't want to go and crank that thing with just this much movement. It would take forever. And I've got all but one of the 4 bolts out here at the differential. I've always thought when you take these things off, the drive shafts off, it's always a good idea to mark where it was. You know, it worked like this. These things are balanced. It worked in this position, so it's best to put it back in that position. It may or may not matter, and I'm sure people will argue that, but I've always known it's best practice just to mark it so it goes back in the same spot. So my driveway is on an angle, and even though I have the emergency brake on, I went ahead and I chocked the front wheels. So the next thing is get the last bolt out, get it free of the rear axle, lift it up over the studs, and pull it out. It's always a good idea to have a rag handy when you pull the yoke out of the transmission, just in case it starts to leak. We can stuff a rag in there and either stop or slow the leak. And I may put a pan down underneath it if it tends to leak. But with my angle of my driveway, all the fluid should go that way, and I may be okay. But we're gonna go ahead and be ready to pull it out. So these carrier bearings come with 2 pieces. They come with the bearing itself and a little like a sleeve. I don't know if it's a dust sleeve or I know it's where the dust cover goes. It clamps onto this. I guess you'd call it dust cover sleeve. So we got to take this dust cover sleeve off first. And what I did is I cut some grooves on the side of it, on both sides, big enough to get my puller on it. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down, and it'll pull this sleeve off. And then for the bearing, we're gonna try to just get a chisel or maybe my air chisel and just chisel it off. So let me get this done, and I'll get back with you. All right, so we have the old piece off. I took some memory cloth and I cleaned up where it goes. I've got this all cleaned up here. The splines, we're gonna put some new grease on the splines. This blue is just a coating that's on there to protect it. And I might put some never seize or anti-seize up here where it presses on, and just give it a little bit more protection. This is a piece of 1.5 PVC pipe that we're going to use to press the bearing back on. Okay, looking at the bearing, you can see it's damaged a lot up in the top, on the sides. It's kind of hard to see, but you can tell where it's broken away from the mounts in different areas. There's more so on this side, but I've damaged it using the air chisel to get it off. This was the cup, the dust cup, and well, that's the same. Here's a new one. You see, everything looks really strong and good and not stretched out or broken. There's a new dust cap, and we're gonna get it set on there and pressed on. Okay to be seated? Sounds pretty solid, right? Does sound pretty solid? Dust cap. Got a mark here, a mark on our yoke. We grease it up and we slide it on. There we go. Now we put our clip back. SD card busy. At least this is all cool. Can't see the hole. So that was the install of the carrier bearing in the 2012 Nissan Frontier. The installation was pretty straightforward. I think we captured it in showing everything we needed to show. The axle, everything is back together. So that'll wrap up the install of the carrier bearing in our 2012 Nissan Frontier. And Yeah, it was pretty easy. I think we showed pretty much everything we did clear. And here, we'll take a look at that right now. Everything is perfect. Some of the key points were to mark the U-joint down there and make sure we get it in the same spot. We marked it on the slip yoke up here inside, and we tried our best to save this clip to put the dust cover back on. So it all turned out really good. Really happy with it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And always come back to DIY Willy for your Nissan Frontier needs and questions. And I'll see you next time.